So in the last video, we looked at creating an instructions page using GameMaker to display the text, which gives us more control over what we do with the text. And here's an example of what we created last time. Now we're going to just enhance this episode slightly by getting the text, the word in here to come in a letter at a time, and we can also then put like a delay on this little play button, so that it basically gives the reader the time then to read the instructions before they just click on play. Okay, so how do we do it? Well, there's a few different ways. So the if I open the object here, which creates our text for us, and what I'm going to do is I need to create a variable, and I'm going to create a variable called text speed. So if I go into the add and then create, and then we're going to add in one of these var blocks, and we're going to call this text speed, and I'm going to set it to 0. And then what we're also going to do then is we are going to use a step event, which is going to then set the speed of our text. So what we're going to do is we're going to say text speed, and then we're going to say 0.5 relative. Okay, next we are going to then move everything from this caption, because now we don't want it to be just a label caption. What we want it to be is essentially what's called a string, a piece of text that we can manipulate, so it's going to be stored as a string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the value string underscore copy. It's a function, and just before I type everything in, you can see it says string copy, string index, and count. Okay, so it's gonna want 3 values from us, right? So string copy wants the actual string, the index value, and the count. So if I just put this in string copy, and then this is the text that I'm wanting to put in. Now you'll notice straight away it's got a red box here because we need to put, if I put comma 1 and then text speed and then close the brackets, this is basically now, hopefully if I've done it right, going to bring in a character at a time. There you are, and as you can see, it's coming in now a bit at a time. Now, what happens if we change this? Well, let's have a look. Let's see what happens if we change that to 0.1. Okay, so what it does is it slows everything down massively, and likewise you can get it speed up by going the other way. And then obviously the faster you have it, then the quicker it's going to appear. But really, if you just want it to appear, don't bother doing this, just use the previous method. Now, one of the things that you will notice is when we play this, the button is on the canvas straight away, so it's in the room straight away. So what we need to do is we can do one of two things. We can either hide it, we can delete it, we can get rid of it, and we can tell GameMaker to create the button once this event is lapsed. Or we could temporarily hide it and then unhide it. There's so many different ways that we can sort of do this. So I'm just going to pick one and then go with it. So you can see I've got the O level inst button, which is here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a create event, and I'm going to set the image alpha or instance alpha to 0. I'm going to set it to 0. Now what that does is, if I just play this, it sets the sort of opacity to clear, so it doesn't appear to be there, right? It is actually there, so if you know where it is, it'll work, but it's actually sort of clear. All right, now what this does then is, obviously the button's there, but we can't see it, so we need to basically be able to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an alarm, and I'm then going to basically just set the instance alpha to 1. Now, in order for this to work, we need to make the alarm tick, so we need to set it. Ooh, wrong one. So I need to use this one here, set alarm count, and obviously every 60 is 1 second. So if I did this and says set alarm countdown to 60. Bearing in mind I'm putting it in the create event of this button. What it would do is it would make a delay of 1 second. You can see that's not there, and then it appears. So if you wanted to make a 2-second delay, you'd have it to 120, or if you want to make a 4-second delay, you can say 240. Whatever you think is appropriate, you can put in there and it'll appear. Okay, so the other option you've got is, I say option, you've got many different options. If I get rid of all of this, you can, let me just get rid of the alarm for a second, delete that. What you can do is you can create a nice fade event. So if you wanted to do something like this, add in a create, set into alpha, and then add a step event, and then have that set at 0.01 relative. And what that will then do is it will gradually fade the button into the screen, like so. So it's basically fading in, and if you wanted to slow that down even more, you just obviously put another 0 in there. So instead of being 0.1, it'll be 0.001. And then that then is just a little bit slower. And you can see gradually it's coming in a little bit quicker until it'll actually then reach 1, right? But obviously that does take a little bit more time, but it depends on what you want to do in your designs. The only thing I would say is be consistent. Don't put one as one and another button doing something else unless it's purposeful and meaningful for your game.